Welcome back, YouTubers. This is Omar from Near Mint Condition. In today's Gaiden episode, I'm going to show you guys my haul for November of 2017. While I was working out of town, I went to different cities, and I took advantage of the half-price book sale, where I had a coupon for 40 and 50% off, and depending on where I went, I was lucky enough to use it more than once. So a lot of these books were 40 to 50% off, so I picked up some stuff that I was missing, like Millennium. Trust no one. This is one of the earliest crossovers. I believe this is after Legends, which took place after Crisis on Infinite Earths. But it was the second crossover across the DC universe, featuring some characters from Crisis on Infinite Earth. I didn't remember the artwork being this good, though, so I'm digging this. Also picked up Snowpiercer Volume 3. Now, you may have seen the movie with Chris Evans. So Snowpiercer, it's been translated into English. Now I can read Volumes 2 and 3 back to back, because I don't know what happened after Volume 1. I know it's not the same writer, because he passed away before writing Volume 2, so this is the same guy that did Volume 3. I think it's the same team that did, I'm sorry, the same people that did the Volume 2. And if you don't know what Snowpiercer is, and haven't seen the movie, which you probably should, it's a story about a train that doesn't stop, and it holds the remaining humans that are left alive in the world. And it's a pretty cool concept. And at the end of Volume 1, something happens that I'm kind of curious to see where they're going with this. I picked up Volume 3 of Zenith, which is my final volume that I needed to pick up. It's one of Grant Morrison's earlier works. I had never read these, and now that I have all 4 volumes, because I recently bought Volume 4 as a damaged book from In-Stock Trades, I can read them all now in one sitting. So I'm really excited about reading these for the first time. And because of the YouTube channel Omnidog's Vault, Jess has been recommending this for over a year, and it's that time of year coming up in December. So I figured I'd get Claws. I found it for half off, and I had to pick it up with that coupon. I don't think this is the comic book store exclusive, but again, I haven't read this, and I'm excited to read it. I'm digging the artwork so far. I think the comic book store one had a gold paper on it, and this is more of a silver lining. One of my local comic book stores had a Black Friday sale, collectibles, etc., in Kentucky, and I picked up Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Year 1. This is one that I was iffy about. I'm not a big fan of Power Rangers. I'm a big fan of the giant robots that are in Power Rangers, but never was a big fan of the show. But I like the artwork, and I've heard a lot of good things about this story. And it's got the first 13 chapters, I believe, including Chapter 0, and all the side stories, and all the freaking variant covers, which are actually really, really cool. I don't know if this was a blind buy, and I hardly do this for a book this expensive, but I've heard good things, and it's Kyle Higgins, and I really dug his Nightwing run. Yeah, that's a ton of, like, I think a third of the book, all this, is nothing but variant covers. So I thought that was pretty cool that they included all of them. It's kind of a pricey book, $75, but I took the advantage of the Black Friday sale at 30% off, so supporting my local comic book shop. Next up is the final Mike Mignola's storyline, Hellboy in Hell. This should have been Volume 7, but for some reason they decided to do their own thing and just call it Hellboy in Hell, which is fine. It's still the beautiful cloth bound hardcover with gorgeous Mike Mignola artwork. Better not flip through this one because I have not read any of the story. I was waiting for the inevitable Volume 7, which became this book. Let's talk about some manga real quick. I finally got this volume. This is a volume that I thought I had already picked up, but I own the original Museum of Terror, which you can see up here, which includes those stories from Tommy, and also the stories coming up in the hardcover Shiver, which comes out December 12th. So all of these out of print, expensive manga stories are going to be included in this and in Shiver. If you've seen our previous episodes and saw our Halloween episode or just looked online, I'm a huge Junji Ito fan. So I'm surprised I didn't own this already. I thought I had already bought this. And this is the story that I told where I was home reading one of these stories by myself while my wife was out. This was a while back. And it was the middle of the night. And one of the pictures just scared the shit out of me so much, I chucked the book and said, fuck this, I'm going to go watch Full House. And that's exactly how that happened. I don't want to give too much away, but it's some of the creepiest artwork you'll ever see. Next up, Battle Angel Alita. This is the deluxe hardcover edition. These books have been out of print. Originally printed by Viz, which I own the original single issues, and the trade paperbacks. There were originally 9 trade paperbacks. I believe there's only going to be 5 of these hardcovers, which will include the trade paperbacks. And I don't know how they're going to pad out the 5th one. I'm hoping they will include this, which is Ash and Victor, which are side stories about the Motorball Diaries done by Kishiro. So I'm hoping, because this is really cool too, because he takes kind of a Frank Miller look to his artwork in these stories. But I don't know, maybe I'm jumping the gun, but I hope they include these in the 5th hardcover. If you don't know what the story of Battle Angel Alita is, or why James Cameron has been working on this movie for 10 years, which apparently will never come out, really quick, it's just the story of this cyborg named Alita, who, well, her remains were found by Dr. Ito, and who built her, put her back together. Of course, it takes place in the future. But when he put her back together, they started hunting other robots. And he noticed that she had all this fighting abilities. And I don't want to reveal too much because she has a past. And it's a really, really awesome past. I want to talk more about this edition. I'm sure there are reviews online everywhere for this. But this edition, of course, reads right to left. Unlike the original mirrored Viz edition. Both this version and I take it back. The second edition of this was written right to left. This is left to right. Your typical stock paper, thick. Already I'm in love with this because it features the color pages and on glossy paper. So even the black and white art stands out. I think you've seen my review of Akira, where I talked about the untranslated sounds. But look, they actually translate the sounds on top of that, instead of going to the index all the way in the back. So I'm already loving this edition that I picked up. It's in hardcover, glossy paper, so Kishiro's artwork stands out so much better. I haven't read this book in years, and the OAV was one of my favorite OAVs as a kid, so I'm excited to go back here and reread this for the first time. Better quit flipping in case you want to read it. But definitely check it out if you have any interest in manga. Another Magnola-verse book, Ape Sapien, Volume 1. Right off the bat, I think people are going to be a little confused with the mapping on this book, because this is Volume 1, but it contains stories from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th trade paperback of Ape Sapien. I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 3 through 5. Because I believe the trade paperbacks of Volume 1 and 2 are going to be in another trade paperback, or they were included, one of the stories was included in one of the BPRD hardcovers. Now, I've never read much of Ape Sapien, so I'm interested to see how good this is, because I enjoy BPRD. So I guess we'll see. Again, this is a Dark Horse release, so it's got the dust jacket with the leather-bound kind of hardcover underneath it. Leather, not leather. How could I not pick up Brian K. Vaughan in hardcover? I own everything that Brian K. Vaughan has done in hardcover, with the exception of The Escapist. I do need to go back and get that. But Paper Girls, if you haven't read it, read it. It's awesome. You like Stranger Things? You like strong female leads? This is the book for you. It's a bunch of teenagers that are out delivering newspapers in the 1980s, and alien invasion, maybe? People from the future, maybe? I don't want to spoil it. It's just awesome. It's Brian K. Vaughan with Cliff Chang doing the artwork. Let me show you some of these beautiful colored pages. I love the tone that they use with the art. Very reminiscent of the 1980s color tones. Like I said, check it out. Speaking of books to check out, definitely check out this one. Detective Comics, probably, I don't know, my first or second favorite Rebirth title. Because I really liked Superman, but up until I read Superman, this was my very first title. Batman builds his own team of badasses. You've got Batwoman, Spoiler, Clayface, Tim Drake, Red Robin. And Cassandra Cain, who is now known as Orphan instead of Batgirl, which makes sense. So I love this. I love this book. I couldn't put it down. I've read it already. I can't wait for Volume 2, which has already been solicited. It includes all the variant covers in the back. This beautiful, beautiful inside. The dust jacket cover with Batwoman and Batman. And best of all, again, because Rebirth is all over the place. Some of the hardcovers collect only 8 issues, 9 issues. But this one here collects 15, 16 issues, I believe. Yeah. So I don't know if it's between this or Superman, what my favorite DC Rebirth title is. But then again, Wonder Woman's good too. More Batman goodness, but this time from the 90s, and this time in omnibus format. With this not so great Kelly Jones wraparound cover that people online were complaining about. There's Clayface from the 90s, Catwoman. I cannot remember that guy's name, who I don't think appears after all these books. Well, no, I take it back. I think he's in the Bane Conquest series now, the Trigger Twins, and Batman in His Tiny Hands. And I'm surprised that they didn't go ahead and give us another cover on the inside. It's the same Kelly Jones art. I was really hoping they'd give us the Joe Quesada cover, which I love. So again, this collects stories from the 90s. This is the Night Quest storyline. And for the first time ever, we have Night Quest, The Search. About 11 issues that were missing from previously released books. Mainly, it's the story of Bruce Wayne and how he magically gets his back. Is that even a thing? How he restores his back to normal. And what happens to Nurse Friedlander. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know if you would upgrade from the softcovers unless you're a huge fan. There's that Joe Quesada piece of work I wish that they would have used in the front. Man, I love that cover. I don't know if you're a biggest fan as Knightfall as I am, and if you already own the 3 soft covers that collect about 90% of the run, whether it's worth upgrading or not. I mean, if you're a big Batman Knightfall fan, then do it. Because like I said, it contains these stories right here, The Search. About 11, 12 issues that were missing from any previous collections. Which I think add to the storyline, because Batman just magically doesn't heal himself. He actually goes on a quest to try to heal his broken back. More Batman Omnibus. This is Batman and Robin, the complete Peter Tomasi collection. And this book is freaking humongous. There's the inside. So this is the same team that works on Superman. So when I found that out, I had skipped these issues when the new 52 storylines were coming out. Mainly because I just was getting everything else. I didn't need another Batman title. I've gone and read about 15 issues so far, and I'm loving this. I kind of knew I was going to like it based on how much I like Superman, but I wasn't expecting to really, really dig this. There's a lot of things that kind of set up some of the Super Son's storyline in Rebirth. So I think it's pretty cool. And damn, it's huge. It collects like the entire New 52 run, plus some of the issues from pre-Flashpoint. So I think it's great. It's a great freaking purchase. This is one of the ones that I went kind of with a blind buy because I knew the team that was working on Superman and Super Sons. So, man, I love Patrick Gleason's artwork. Alright, enough raving about good storylines. Here's something I'm not going to waste too much time talking about. Spider-Man Clone Saga Volume 2. Why the hell did I buy this? Do you remember a few months ago when I did a haul video and I found Volume 1 at a flea market for $30? That's why the hell I bought this. Because I'm a fucking idiot and a completist. And I can't think of a single story in Volume 2 that is redeemable at all. Maybe the last 4 parts? Maybe? I don't know. Some of the artwork... I don't have much to say. All I know is that I'm weak and I have problems if I'm buying Clone Saga Volume 2 even at half off. But it's got Bagley artwork, so that's good. X-Force Omnibus Volume 2. I don't give a shit what that title says. This is for real X-Force Omnibus Volume 2. Yes, it contains some Deadpool stories. As a matter of fact, if you own the Deadpool Beginnings Omnibus, this has just about everything from there except for his earlier appearances in New Mutants and X-Force. But if you want to double dip, keep it. It also has Cable Classics Volume 1 in here too. I'm so glad that I get to have more Fabian Nicieza, Greg Capullo, and Tony Daniels X-Force in one book. I'm loving this. I hope they continue with the trend. I don't give a shit if they call it Cable and X-Force Volume 1 or Deadpool and X-Force Volume 3. However they have to do it to print it, I will buy it. I love these stories. These take place right after the Executioner song. It has one of my favorite moments in X-Force history. Oh, it even includes an awesome issue of New Warriors where they go and try to bury their past because some of the characters were Hellions. And the Hellions were killed by Fitzroy's Sentinels back in Uncanny X-Men 281 and 282. But there's this awesome moment right here where Sam grows a fucking pair and leaves X-Force, leaves Xavier's. And he's like, you know, I've had enough of your shit. And almost smacks him. And Xavier stops him. Oh, I love this moment. Oh, man. I can't wait to read this. I know I sound like a big dork excited about a comic book that was printed over 20 years ago when most people were not reading comic books. But this was my high school years, and I love these moments in X-Force. It has the storyline where it reveals who the real Nathan Christopher Summers is. Cyclops' son. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, if you're into 90s goodness, that's Ian Churchill's overdone artwork. I was never a big fan of that guy. Yeah, but if you're into some 90s goodness, this is the book for you. The final book I picked up was this awesome, huge monster. And the reason I picked it up is because I'm on a show called The Omnibus, and there's a gentleman there named Jess Bragg who goes by Omnidog. And he had this book, and I have the original Little Nemo, but this book, I mean, comparison, this is an omnibus, is humongous. This was one of the Kickstarter books where different artists did a page of Little Nemo stories. And they got 1 or 2 pages each. Different artists, different writers, like I believe Mark Buckingham's on here, P. Craig Russell. I've never read any of these stories, and for some reason I missed out a chance to pick it up when it came out originally. I never did the Kickstarter, and I found it at a comic book shop while I was working out of town. The guy made a deal with me after bargaining for about 20 minutes. I ended up getting it for $70. He wanted $100, so I knew that I would pay about $75 for this because it's out of print. So I'm glad he took $70. So never hurts to ask, guys. And because you already know of my weakness for these Bishojo figures, I picked up the latest one, Miss Marvel Kamala Khan. I already have the Carol Danvers one, and apparently they're releasing a Captain Marvel Carol Danvers that I'm going to be double dipping because I said I'll only get one character. So let's get her out and put her in her rightful place. And here she is. Adorable. Okay guys, that's my haul for November of 2017. If you're interested in hardcover collections or omnibuses or want to trade or sell some of your stuff, there's a Facebook page called the Omnibuds Cafe. It's OMNIBUDS Cafe CAFE. You can join and, or just talk about hardcovers and collected editions. I'd like to know what you guys ended up buying or what you plan on buying in December. If this is your first time watching this show, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We have our weekly show. It comes out every Thursday where we talk about comic books, video games, anime, toys, Transformers, and just about anything in the geek world. So again, this is Omar, and thank you for watching.